Yeah.
Oh boy. Video response. This one, yeah. Apparently, white women crying is dangerous now. I'm gonna drink some water real quick, get hydrated, and then we'll let the fun begin. Oh boy.
You know, it's funny. According to y'all, you aren't your ancestors, even though y'all using their playbook, their strategies, their techniques. You cry like them, you lie like them, you attempt to remove yourselves from them in order to not be held responsible for the atrocities they committed in the past, which is totally fair and understandable. However, y'all don't like to be held accountable for the shit that you do today. Chelsea and Savannah just gave us a crash course on exactly how lethal and dangerous white women could be, whether they decide to take the offensive or the defensive position against a person of color.
Well, here we go again. Hi, my name is Sydney. Welcome back to hell. Now, it really has been a while since we've taken a trip into anti-white rhetoric land, and I would say that's largely because...
Speaking as a white person, I check my privilege, and as someone who's white, autistic, straight, heterosexual, of age, male, I have privilege, and I hate it. I didn't ask for the privilege, and I certainly keep a cool head about it. However, I'm sick and tired of white stereotypes being thrown in my face.
The last few years have occupied people's attention with injections and illness and government overreach. Not that I blame anyone for that at all. It's been a weird time. Actually, I do blame our politicians, and for them, I have a large amount of contempt. But somewhere in amongst all of the new medical expertise a lot of people have acquired recently, there continues to be a discussion about white people bad. Although I will admit that the constant onslaught of media...
And the problem with this is, you cannot say, hey, could you stop throwing my ancestors crap in my face? I'm sorry. What do you want me to do? Grab a time machine and tell them to knock it the fuck off? Like, dude.
Coverage about white supremacy has died down a little bit. Although that being said, it doesn't stop this kind of crap cropping up on my Twitter feed. Apparently, if you're a white person committed to racial justice and you still have a relationship with most of your family, you're a big old baddie. And our friend Jessica...
I'm so tired of being assumed. I'm associated with a lot of white people just because of the color of my skin. This is the bitch about it. I think, and you know, you're guilty by association because of the assholes who ruin it for you, and that's pretty much true for both genders and all races, or all four genders. Yes, because we already know there are four genders: male, female, trans, hermaphrodite. Non-binary doesn't count because they don't identify as a gender.
Has questions. Where do these people even come up with this? Now, at this point, I assume most of you know that TikTok is a breeding ground for all sorts of rhetoric and...
Oh yeah, because if you have a TikTok, you automatically are entitled to an opinion, right? No.
Ideas. So admittedly, I wasn't too shocked to find out that the anti-racist part of TikTok concerns itself with crap like this.
White women feel safe with black men, not only because of the hypermasculinity that they believe black men exhibit, but because of the whiteness and power they hold over black men. And this is why white women love their black sons and hate their black daughters. Black sons give you access to the patriarchy. They give you power, whereas black daughters don't.
These people
who come off as the biggest anti-racists are secretly the biggest racists. Like, if you have to look, this is called, what's it called? Hold up. It's called race baiting, and it sprays all over everybody. Watch this. Oh God, oh God, oh God. KFC has multiracial people eating their chicken. That's racist. The truth.
Everything flam flam! But I've seen this kind of commentary before, as I'm sure many of you have. This is
when Sydney Watson uploads a new video. Okay, just kidding.
Not new. What was new to me, however, was finding out that a huge portion of the internet concerns itself with the concept that white women tears are dangerous. Actually, just white people crying in general.
Well, I mean, one would argue that crying in general can be dangerous in the sense of it gets people to react a certain way. It doesn't necessarily have to pertain to the color of your skin.
I guess it's kind of like you shed a tear, you kill a queer. Actually, no, apparently gay people crying is still a problem.
Hey, what's up? I just wanted to ask y'all that do you comprehend that this is not exclusive to women? White gay men also do this all the time.
How white women use strategic tears to silence women of color. Oh, for the love of God. It's just everyone whining and complaining, and we're not allowed to have feelings, and we're also supposed to be offended by everything, and it's so goddamn annoying. And like last time I checked, like I don't care what color your skin is, dude, dudette, they, them, non-binary, however you identify, fuck sickos.
Anyway, like I said, the idea that white women weaponize their tears and then use them as ammunition.
One could argue that women everywhere weaponize that shit, and then it doesn't have to be white. You know, women crying is just like, for me personally, it's horrible. You know, it makes me sad. It makes me want to cry. It makes me want to cry with them.
Against other people in a multitude of situations is a fairly widespread idea. In my travels of the internet, I found countless hashtags with videos and millions of views, most of them arguing the same point.
Dear white women, if you want to be able to show your emotions, to express your sadness and your other shadow emotions publicly and authentically, and be taken seriously, you will need to address how you and your foremothers, historically and in the modern day, have misused your tears, your sadness, and shadow emotions to hurt and damage people of color, men, women, children, people of color.
So, while it's good to acknowledge that, yes, I have white privilege, and I'm sorry that my ancestors were the biggest racist to you people, at the same time, could you stop shoving it in my face? Because it makes me feel like shit, because I can't do nothing to change it except be a good person myself, and there you go. Now, I got friends that are black, I got friends that are LGBTQ, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, dude, seriously?
Black, brown, and indigenous people.
Flam flam! Remember our good friend Robin DiAngelo who wrote White Fragility? Well, apparently there's an entire chapter dedicated to white women tears.
Get along. Because one would argue that women are good at manipulating society just by being emotional because one, they get away with it, and two, they're overly coddled in our society.
Stories and articles across the internet, some even
most dangerous person in America is the white woman.
from major outlets discussing this topic.
Because she cried some crocodile tears. That's another good name for white tears, but they're crocodile tears who come from white women.
And speaking of crocodiles, nice green hair.
Because women who look like me and you, of Envelopian descent, our tears are lethal to black, brown, and indigenous peoples because we weaponize our emotions against them because we also have absolutely no power in a male-dominated patriarchy. You know, we live in a society that was built at the behest of white men on the backs of black, brown, and indigenous people.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but like when the humans first came to this planet, it was on one giant continent.
I think I would be more angry about this if I didn't feel like I've been given an intellectual lobotomy. Don't even try to beam me up anymore, Scotty. I just want the needle in my brain. Now, a starting place for this conversation comes from a TikTok trend called Turn It Off that started in mid-2021. The clips are effectively people crying to audio that tells them to turn it off and then—
Well, all white people are racist, all men are sex-crazed pigs. I'm sick and tired of it, dude.
And they stop crying.
Turn it off.
In order to make this video, I watched a lot of these TikToks, and when I say a lot, I mean a lot. And many of the ones that I watched are mums basically saying that they need to keep it together when their kids are around, or doctors and other people in the medical field.
In like some situations, yeah, dude, you gotta be professional, and it sucks if you're like a veterinarian or a doctor to humans, you know what I'm saying? Like instead of sitting there balling it up, like, let it out.
Keeping it together when they're around patients, and so on and so forth. But of course, it's 2022, and we gotta make it about racism.
It off.
Not everything's racist, not everything's sexist, not everything's LGBTQ plus phobic. And the fact that I'm being offended by everyone being offended by everything has to mean that I'm like the world's biggest fucking hypocrite, but at least I care. Fuck sickos.
Why are some people so tone deaf? Like, this is not a trend. Some people actually do this to weaponize their tears against Black people and people of color. Whenever they don't get their way, when someone tells them something that they did is racist, or whenever they just feel like being a Karen that day.
And if you try to argue with these people or like offer a mature and fair counterpoint, people look at you like, watch it. Cobra, you're whiter than Casper's bare ass.
Friend is stupid.
What you just watched is a clip of something called the Turn It Off Challenge, the sound for which currently has 75,900 videos, and it's a prime example of the danger of white woman tears. One Twitter user wrote, "White women have historically used their tears and their false victimhood to accuse and vilify people of color, particularly those from the Black community. This trend is..."
Yes, 2022, shockingly you're going to encounter people who were still racist, and it's sad, but what do I know? I'm just some random autistic YouTuber dude. And it's after 5 o'clock, so yeah, bottoms up.
showing the ability to falsify emotions and manipulate others. This has a dangerous history.
When a bunch of white people who aren't racist are being attacked for being racist, what's the word I'm looking for? Segregation? That's the word. Yes, it is. They're going to feel segregated. Like, okay, I'm sorry that my great-great-great-grandfather or grandmother were a dick to you. Like, what do you want me to fucking do? Wave a magic wand and be like, hey, racism and sexism, Avada Kedavra, bitch. Doesn't work like that, unfortunately.
I took my hair out. Many users on the old TikTok think this trend is dangerous because it exemplifies how us terrible white women can use our emotions to manipulate situations and make them harmful for other people. No, seriously. Lobotomize me. They often point to historical events to justify this position. The most common one that you'll hear is about Emmett Till. He was a 14-year-old boy back in 1955 who whistled at a white woman named Caroline Bryant, who then told everybody that he'd manhandled her and been inappropriate with her, and then he was subsequently mutilated and lynched. The
dude was lynched and mutilated, so... dude.
Side of the issue has claimed one thing all this time, whereas Till's family has claimed something else, and there's an ongoing argument between the two families to this day. Realistically, what happened to Emmett Till was awful. And if you take race out of the equation, if somebody lies, which a lot of people think Caroline Bryant did in this case, and that leads to another person being murdered, dying, or even incarcerated, that's wrong.
Exactly my point. If she lied about that crap, then an innocent man went to jail. And rightfully so. Sorry about that. The stream just stopped for whatever random reason.
During the event, in the time period in which it happened, things were very racially charged, and there are also different standards and views when it came to safeguarding women. Black Americans didn't have many protections. It is precisely because of how awful parts of this time period were that we had a shift in consciousness and the way that we approach and treat other people.
That's exactly why we have the issues we have in our society today. It's because people were dicks to people back in the day. Better not clink that bottle, boy.
By today's standards, for example, if a white woman were to be genuinely terrified and emotional towards a white man, everybody would be like, ah, believe women! But the moment that same woman is scared of someone who is non-white, we are forced to assume that she is racist, and her motivations for doing what she's doing are also racist.
That's the bitch of it, YouTube.
Just because I do not want critical race theory taught to my children in school does not mean that I'm a racist, damn it.
Yes, it does, goddammit.
Isn't that precisely what that means?
Yeah. And realistically, anyone can use their feelings to manipulate other people.
That is the goddamn truth. Sidney Watson said it right there. Realistically, anyone can use their feelings to manipulate people. People are fucking shit. And when you give them an ounce of privilege, some asshole's going to abuse it, which systematically doesn't end segregation. It just makes it worse.
It happens all the time between both sexes, across all kinds of people who look all kinds of ways. Although I will say it is especially prevalent when us ladies in general, regardless of race, start losing an argument with our man. Please take me to get nachos. No.
Nachos. Cobra makes the best goddamn nachos.
Another component of this is tying white women tears to femininity. Femininity.
White women are often dangerous perpetrators of anti-blackness. Many see themselves as exempt from perpetuating violence because of their womanhood. However, many white women use this femininity to cause problems for black individuals. The concept of white woman tears is convoluted because it's layered.
No, girl. It's convoluted because it doesn't make any sense.
One must reflect on the historical context, the racial context, and the gender context, as well as how these three work together to create unique violence against black people.
White women tears. White women are very much enablers of the system of white supremacy, and they play their role.
I don't mind getting offended by things like sexism and racism because rightfully so, you should be offended by these things. However, when you're offended by everything, dude, how do these people fucking sleep at night just laying awake going, oh my God.
Effortlessly.
White woman tears are a lot more about impact.
I'm just editing this and I just noticed that this woman has her Venmo in the corner of this video, and I don't know, that just amuses the absolute crap out of me, so I'm pointing it out for you because, yeah, complain about white women tears, get that bag, girl.
It's what happens when a white woman becomes self-aware of the damsel in distress trope, and she knows.
And women are sick and tired of that stereotype too, the damsel in distress. Oh, help me.
Knows that if she cries, people are gonna come defend her honor. White woman tears me.
And women like it when you defend their honor, but you do it too much and it comes off as creepy and clingy.
Maybe upplaying something that's actually bad that's happened, like in Chelsea's case, or they can be a complete and total fabrication, as in the case with Emmett Till. White tears are about white fragility. White woman tears are about revenge.
But more than anything, I find it genuinely gross to see people mocking white women for expressing genuine fear, sadness, and concern simply because they're white. For another example, a lot of these clips talk about a woman called Amy Cooper, also known as the Central Park Karen. They really love talking about Karens. Amy called 911 to basically report that a bird watcher was making her uncomfortable and trying to take her dog from her. Of course, she was accused of weaponizing white tears. On Twitter, the hashtag Amy Cooper is a racist trended. She was eventually fired from her job because her employer said they do not tolerate racism of any kind. She also had to do racial sensitivity training, and her life has been destroyed, so much so that I'm pretty sure she left the country. The bird watcher, Christian Cooper, on the other hand, basically became a minor celebrity. He was able to pen a comic for DC Comics about the incident, and Joe Biden even congratulated him. In his own words, from his own post on Facebook, it turns out that Christian had approached Amy, a woman.
It turns out this Christian prick has been known to like harass people in the park. Like, who does that? Like, people are going to the park to walk their dog or enjoy the scenery, and then just some asshole comes up and starts harassing you. That's fucking stupid, dude.
Alone in a wooded area. He then threatened her by saying, "I'm going to do what I want, and you're not going to like it." And then he tried to lure her dog away from her with treats that he just kept on hand. But you'd never know that from the TikTokers.
You sit on a throne of lies.
It actually kind of turns out that Christian is something of a serial harasser at the park. Huh. In May 2020, a man called Jerome Lockett, who is also black, said Christian had aggressively threatened him in the park. When he saw the video of Amy, he said that he didn't blame her for calling the police if Christian had approached Amy the same way Christian had approached him. Lockett also noted that other dog owners experienced similar things but didn't want to come forward and report it because they're white. Why am I not surprised?
So, what the fuck? How does this whole thing happen? Like, you know, if you're a dude and you're being an absolute royal and harassing people at the park, how has that individual not been banned from said park? I'm trying to make sense of this, and I can't. They're like, I don't give a fuck what your skin color is. Like I said, we're all colors of the rainbow, you know?
On a much darker level, it's worth noting that there have been plenty of instances where white women have reported things to authorities that have ultimately gone unaddressed or unnoticed because those authorities did not want to investigate and deal with the situation for fear of offending or appearing racist towards a minority group. Rotherham, Telford, other British places that I can't remember the name of.
Basically the same reason why if a dude gets by a woman, he doesn't want to report it because nobody will believe him and they'll just accuse him of being a female-hating sexist.
Thousands of predominantly white women and girls were abused and left to rot, basically, because the perpetrators in the situation were not white. If anything, maybe we could argue in these instances that because these women were white, it hurt their chances of achieving any sort of justice at all. But I don't know. I'm just spitballing. Now, if nothing else, I want to leave you with two main ideas. The first is that, as you all well know, I personally find the overemphasis on race incredibly unhelpful. Do you think that the historical part of this is important concerning Emmett Till? Do you think that that should be the basis for this white women tears thing that we currently are seeing today? What do you think of the Amy Cooper situation? Was that fair? Was that unfair? Is it totally crazy to you that nobody actually knows the full story about what went on there? And what do you generally make of this issue overall?
And if you want to cut down on rape and like fight rape culture, stop treating sex like it's a need.
As always, if you like the video, hit subscribe and the thumbs up button. If you want to leave a comment, feel free to do so. Just be respectful about it. And I will see you guys next time.
Yeah. Catch you later. You hit that like button, subscribe for more, and I'll be sure to do more. All right, I'll catch you later.